Welcome everyone to this edition of Yoga Amazing, or as I like to call this episode, Off the Mat. Because we're not going to be practicing yoga on the mat today, we're going to be practicing life. And life tips from my friend here, Sol Perry. Now every year, at the beginning of every year, I always like to talk to people who have made huge changes in their life and are now making help and differences in other people's lives. So now, Sol and I have known each other for maybe a couple of years, 2-3 years now?
Well, it's longer in a way because of the music stuff.
That's right, because years ago I did a music event in Louisville called the Harvest Showcase, and your band, which was called
Shattered Reality.
Shattered Reality, played that event, and that was 20 years ago.
It's over about 25 years ago.
But 25 years ago, you were how much heavier?
Well, 25 years ago I was really what you would call skinny fat. I wasn't big yet, but I had no muscle definition, no veins. I drank Cokes for a living, basically.
And beer?
Well, I didn't really drink that much back then, honestly. That came later. I made up for that as I grew older.
But then you went up in size. So what did you really? Because I want to show a photograph here of you, a before shot and then an after shot. So how much at your biggest weight did you get to?
Well, by the time I was 30, I was about 220. By the time I was 34, I was 300 pounds.
Wow.
With a 50-inch waist.
Well, yeah, if you look at this photograph right here, I mean, and it's just a huge difference in the person. And then here you are after, and it was something that, so when you got to that 300 plus pound mark, what clicked in your head to say, enough, I need to change my life?
Well, there was a confluence of events that really happened. One being my mother, who I'm very close with, got cancer, the big C as they call it. So that really kind of had what some call a nervous breakdown, or an epiphany, or maybe a little bit of both. I tell you, you don't really know what those things are like until it hits you. But it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it kind of woke me up that I was just blowing my one shot, at being healthy and a vibrant, full life. And it just made me start to reconsider every single thing I was doing with my life. I was drinking and partying a lot at the time, living the whole rock and roll lifestyle, as they call it. And man, it was just, I was honestly depressed as well, to be frank. And I mean, my music was going great. That aspect of my life was good. But my personal life, everything other than my career was not where I wanted it to be. And it just led to more and more depression. And that, and also I had a gig, and for the first time in my life, I hired this sound man. I was playing at Headliners, and this cat came up to me. Which is
here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Right, here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's a big, it's an upscale music hall. It's a nice place to perform. And we played all original music like you guys. And anyway, this cat come up behind me, and he goes, "So, man, you got fat." Real loud, it was in the early part of the day. Yeah, and I'm thinking, I hired this guy, and it really hurt my feelings, to be honest, for the first time in my life. Because, your friends will kind of not tell you the hard truths.
Yeah.
And everybody was just telling me I looked better with meat on my bones. But I'll never forget that moment, because you know what? He was right 100%. I got the photos. I could send them to you right there on stage. I had 3 chins. I had no neck to speak of. And it was confluence of events, but that was definitely a milestone.
So when this is why I wanted you to come on and talk, because I've got my workout regimens and routines and the way I do things, but you really developed your own thing. What I mean by that is he developed his own, necessarily his style of eating, which his name is Sol, S-O-L, but it's called the Soul Food Diet.
Yeah.
But how would you compare the soul food diet? Because, you got the paleo, you got the Mediterranean. Is it a blend of everything? I mean, how did you come to this? And once you figured out, I need to make a change in my life, you started looking at different things, probably like a lot of us do, research.
Sure.
And so I guess, how did you come up and develop the style of food that you eat, and what differentiates it from some of the other diets? Because I wouldn't even call it a diet. It's a lifestyle.
Sure. It is a lifestyle. 100%, and man, the journey was long and arduous and full of peril, you might say. I definitely was lost in the beginning. There's so much misinformation.
And how many years ago was that from today?
It was about 10 years ago is when my journey began. It's coming up on the 10-year anniversary.
And you would have been 32?
I started at 34, and I'm 44.
Okay.
I just turned 44. which is ironic because I look younger than I did 10 years ago in some ways. But yeah, man, I actually started the education process from the ground up, just reading stacks and stacks of books to the ceiling and back. Didn't trust the internet so much. There's more misinformation on there than ever. And 10 years ago, the internet wasn't what it is now anyway. But I tried the Ornish diet, like you said, the Mediterranean diet, low carb, high carb, the bodybuilding diet. I tried every diet under the sun. I literally tried it and took meticulous notes and tried them with others as well. And this went on for years until I formulated the soul food diet, which is different than the paleo. It's different than any other diet. It is a combination of intermittent fasting, of a paleo type way of eating. I don't like the term paleo because it's a misnomer.
Right.
Because cavemen would simply eat whatever they could.
Right.
You know, and I don't eat bugs, and that's certainly a big thing on the paleo diet.
Yeah,
not that there's anything wrong with eating bugs; it's just not for me.
Yeah, unless you live on an island like that TV show.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's just not where my head's at right now. But yeah, long story short, it is a unique way of eating. The way it combines some other methods, and it works. Man. Unlike the other diets I tried, Chaz, this was the only one that kept working. The others I would hit a plateau, and I would stall, and that happened again and again and again, and it became so frustrating because I was trying to reach a place I've never been before. I've never been shredded. I never had a six-pack in my life.
Right.
So I was literally having to lose baby fat I've had since I was a baby.
Yeah, and you lost all this weight. If you look at some of these pictures, I mean, there was no surgery, there was nothing. We're talking about it was pure willpower.
Yeah, willpower, some trial and error because I didn't have any real assistance. I was on my own, and halfway through my journey, I did make some relationships online with some people on the top of the industry. My transformation started to get some attention, and I became friends with an Olympic coach, and he was kind of on the same path as me. He was misled by the media. He believed all that, eating 7 meals a day, eating 300 grams of protein, and oh my God, you got to eat brown rice, chicken, and broccoli. I mean, he tried that too. And this cat's an Olympic coach, and he got fat. He got up to 260. He wasn't fat like me, but he got way too big. And we kind of met at the right time. And meeting him, even though he's all the way across the world in Iceland, we would have 2 hours conversation every night, man. And it's not so much that he taught me anything or I taught him anything. I think us coming together, making each other realize we wasn't crazy. That it really helped vindicate my beliefs because here's an Olympic coach. He's got the highest level of education in the world in fitness, and he discovered a lot of the same things I discovered about how we've been lied to for so darn long.
Now let me ask you this. Let's go back a little bit. One thing a lot of people out there, you know, in the health and fitness world, everybody loves, you know, to drink their wine or they like to have some beers, whatever. When you got to that point, did you just stop drinking altogether? And if so, what was the because a lot of people are like, well, we've had this discussion many times.
It's a hot topic.
But I mean, how did you actually stop drinking, just cut it out completely for a while?
Well, I didn't drink much in my teens and 20s. I didn't really party much at all. I was obsessed with music and learning. I know it sounds a little nerdy, but I made up for it later. I started really drinking when I was in my late 20s. And it just got a little out of control. It definitely contributed to my weight gain, all those empty calories and all the damage it does to your endocrine system. But me and Amanda, my wife Amanda, who lost 80 pounds herself, we lost over 200 pounds together over 2 years.
She's also a trainer too.
She's a trainer too at Soul Perry Fitness. So we won Trainers of the Year again this
year. Man, congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, to answer your question, you know, my methods are unique, like you know, brother. It's I believe in enjoying the pleasures in life. That means I do still drink.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go out to dinner and you'll grab a bourbon.
Absolutely, bourbon on the rocks, a little bit of lemon squeeze. I do enjoy red wine. So what I've found, if you can keep it to 1 day a week, and just keep it to 2 or 3 drinks that day, if you're really trying to reach a place you've never been before.
Right.
You know, we're talking you're trying to lose 20 pounds, you've got a deadline, you've got a plan. It can work really well. And that's what I formulated during my journey because, you know, you can go crazy, I come from such a place of excess. Right. You know, I was the rock and roll lifestyle guy. And I just got used to that, and I didn't want to derail it, so I just kind of came across it by happenstance. I didn't read it in a book or anything, or in any of my education.
So how did you get to that mindset? Says I'm okay. I'm only going to drink a beer on Tuesdays because, like for myself, we've had this conversation. It's like I enjoy drinking my red wine, but they also say that 2 glasses of red wine a day is more than sufficient for a male. But the next thing you know, you're drinking 4 or 5.
Right.
And then you're sabotaging everything that you're doing. And like I'm 10 pounds away, which I've told him for a year. Yeah. I'm 10 pounds away from where I want to be, and I know the reason why.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's that one day a week, man. I've had people that can do it on 2 days a week. It depends, you know. If you're don't have a deadline, you're just trying to maintain, you can get away with a lot more. Maybe have maybe 1 or 2 glasses every night even. But giving your liver and kidneys a break, that can make a giant difference. And of course, it's empty calories. And to me, man, it was just, I call it the eye of the tiger. I went all in. There was no way in the world I was not going to lose this weight. Anyone that tells you it's easy is lying to you.
Because it took you how long to get, so you started 10 years ago, but to get to the point where you were physically fit, you've been physically fit now for a few years, but how many years did it take you to get from there to here?
Well, in the pictures that you'll see, it took me 2 years.
2 years.
It took me first year to lose about the first 80 or 100. It took me a whole another year to lose that last 20, where you could really start to see all the lines in my abs and all the cuts and everything. It was hard, man. I was training 4 times a day. I was doing still a lot of things wrong, to be honest. I was still formulating my approach. I call it the LFS system, the Lean, Fit, and Strong method of training. It combines martial arts, general wellness, mobility, resistance training, a lot of different methods. But yeah, you got to have that eye of the tiger. You have to want it more than you ever wanted anything in your life. I don't believe you have to abstain completely. So 1 day a week, you kind of live for that one day. Yeah. Me and Amanda would go and have a healthy brunch. And then after that, we actually would do our whole shopping that day. It was generally Sundays. We get all of our food for the week. Every week, go get fresh food. And then at night, I would make what I called my antioxidant intoxicant, which is Tito's organic vodka.
Oh, yeah.
And then frozen or fresh organic berries. And I would have a couple good strong drinks. Believe me, they wasn't.
The great thing about the vodka, I think, is about maybe, because I've done research on that too, it's like about 80, 90 calories. Club soda has 0 calories. You put in a couple of limes, that's 0. So, but then you get a glass of wine, you're talking 150 calories, and you maybe get like 3 point something net carbs, and you get the sugar.
Sure.
So but yeah, I do love the Tito's and the drinks like that, but those, the white liquors they say is better. Whites and brown, I mean, bourbon's about the same calories, right? But it's got the sugar in it, though.
Yeah, I mean, the problems arise generally if you mix it with a bunch of sugary stuff.
Yeah, the party mix stuff.
I love margaritas. I actually created a drink I call Soul-ritas, which is a much lower sugar, more natural alternative.
Didn't you make those that for the party we came to, the Halloween party?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he had a Halloween party.
Yeah, they were incredible. But yeah, man, that's why I never would have like a margarita generally out at a restaurant, because I just keep sending it back because it's so full of high fructose corn syrup and food colorings and all this toxins. And really just one drink of red wine, if you have it before you go to bed, that can downregulate growth hormone production by 70%.
Yeah, because at night's really when the growth hormone comes in, and you actually can burn a ton of calories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you do just a few hacks, it could really.
So there you go. You can burn calories while sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure, man.
Now, one question I've got is, you know, right before we started this interview, you said you just finished doing like 3 to 4 hours of working out or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm under the premise, I like doing maybe a 35 to 45 minute. I mean, I work out 6 days a week, and I alternate like maybe 3 days a week is cardio, 3 days a week is going to be some sort of resistance bands or dumbbells or something like that. And then, of course, I throw in yoga in there as well. But is there a time constraint that needs to be put on that? Needs to be, because a lot of people out there, that's why kind of like Yoga Amazing has been successful. I was able to put in about 20-ish minute workouts for people to get in. So what is the truth in the matter of how much you work out versus how much you don't work out?
Well, I am a big believer in that the older you get, the more often you should train. but your training should change.
Well, like, I'm 54, and a lot of the people on here are female demographic. There's a lot of guys out there, so guys, I know you're out there. So if they're, because they say, because I did that research myself, so what do you think about after you hit 50, you have to change? Because I know for a fact I can't work out the same way I did when I was in my 20s.
Nor should you.
Right, because it's more detrimental.
Like it's more to me, as I grow older in my training and in life, I love the parallels of training and life. I think as you grow older, like I say, I'm 44 myself. My wife is 44, so we're not old, but we're not any spring chickens anymore.
Right.
So things start to get real, really, once you're out of your 20s. And every decade, it absolutely gets more challenging, but it is still possible.
Especially with us, with testosterone levels start crashing.
For sure, they start crashing. And I do a lot of consults with young men in their 20s that have low T. It's an epidemic, because of all the xenoestrogens that are everywhere. Just the xenoestrogens that's in your shower curtain could potentially affect you. It could, the Tupperware, and of course the food. It can be, so it can be overwhelming. But I mean, for example, I look to take away more things as I grow in life instead of adding, like strip away to the essentials.
Right.
So, and I got that from Bruce Lee. Now, so what that means is I don't do powerlifting as much anymore. I don't do Olympic weightlifting. I am not sparring in martial arts. I don't think I need to get hit in the head anymore, for example. I look at it from more of a health and fitness. It sounds extraneous when I say I train 3 hours today, but it's something I enjoy. I'm not training every day right now. I'm training about 3 or 4 days a week because I vary my intensity and I vary my volume and all this stuff. I vary my long-term training, and that was with the client, so I had to make time for his training. But what we did, it was the end of the year, man, so we did strength tests, like how many push-ups can you do in 2 minutes, how many chin-ups can you do in 2 minutes, etc. So that means next year I'm going to test myself, I'm going to test all my clients. I could even test you before you get out of here, and we can see where we're at, and just making sure I'm progressively getting better.
Yeah, I think my working out so much, my shoulder, it's like the tendonitis.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm dealing with that issue right now.
Oh, I can fix that.
All right. Well, we'll fix that after this.
Yeah, man.
So let's. So do you think is there a certain limit? Because I mean, I love working out with resistance bands. I've got several different versions. I have the ones with the handles, and I've also got the ones the loops. So I mean, I've got my resistance workout, and it's. I mean, I've got 3 levels. Light, medium, and heavy. So you can get a great workout, and you can throw them in your bag, and you get to go anywhere. Sure. I take them on vacation.
Absolutely.
So what do you think about the amount of time people should work out? Is 30 minutes enough? Is 45 minutes enough?
Well, I'm a big believer in that it all counts. It all adds up. Some days, the other day, I felt fat, to be honest. I know your viewers might think that's crazy, but I was a fat guy for a big part of my life. So that fat guy's still in here, and I've embraced my new body, but mentally I'll never forget where I came from, sort of. So it still bothers me. So I'll do 15, 20-minute workouts. I'll just do like what I call a metabolic type thing, I do it all. I do the band stuff. I do that. I think you can get great benefit out of a 20-minute workout, 100%. It just matters of what you're doing.
Right.
I would rather see someone spend 20 minutes on the bands, maybe do some push-ups. The ladies do push-ups on your knees. It's totally fine. If that makes you weak, I guess I'm weak. I do them on my knees sometimes. Squats are one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. What really I encounter, Chaz, is the limiting factors are oftentimes people's bad shoulders, bad hips, bad knees. So I've had to kind of become an expert on how to fix a lot of that stuff because I've just encountered it so much, and it seems like a lot of the physical therapists and the conventional medicine sometimes comes up short for a lot of people in fixing those things. So that becomes the limiting factors. Like, are your shoulders healthy? If they're not, you probably shouldn't maybe do a bunch of barbell bench pressing. I have very few of my clients do barbell benching at all. I leave out a lot of stuff to make sure they stay healthy. Because a lot of us have been brainwashed so much, like, oh my God, if you're not doing your sit-ups or your barbell benching, you're wasting your time. And
well, I've told people before, if you want to get abs, work your legs more because they've got the biggest muscle group in the body, which means they're going to burn more calories. Thus, it's going to help your abs.
You're 100% right. I love squats. I love kettlebell swings, compound movements.
Yeah, kettlebell swings are great.
Kettlebell swing. If you only got one piece of gear, I think a kettlebell could be a good contender.
Yeah, and you can get those any local store.
And if you just Google kettlebell swings for fat loss, I'll pop up. I'm the first in the world on that, thankfully.
Really?
Yeah. And,
is it on YouTube?
Yeah, man. If you just Google kettlebell swings for fat loss, my video.
I'll put your YouTube channel here, and so they can actually just go find it that way too.
Okay, great.
Because you've got a bunch of other videos too.
Yeah, I have demos on exactly how to do swings. I got a lot of free resources out there. If you just Google Sol Perry Fitness, SOL, 4 pages of Sol Perry.
Well, so as always, it's truly a pleasure to hang out with you. I mean, this guy's a wealth of knowledge and a good person, a good soul.
Well, I would like to say that I'm a big believer in yoga, and my friend Chaz is an international expert on that. I look to him in such matters. A lot of people come to me, and they're in a race, especially the guys, to lift a bunch of heavy weights. And I love lifting heavy weights too. But the first thing I'm going to have you do is make sure you can touch your toes, make sure you have good thoracic mobility, good mobility in your, your shoulders, good mobility in your hips, that you're pain-free. And yoga is a fantastic way to do that. You should be able to do, the fundamentals at least, downward dog, upward dog, etc., just to work on your mobility and your core strength, man. So, I'm honored to be here.
Cool, brother. Well, we've been trying to get this together for a year, and I always like doing stuff like this the very first year. So please check out Sol's website. A lot of great content out there, and I'll see you on the next episode of Yoga Amazing.